In this demonstration, we're going to be using Autodesk Revit, and in addition, you'll see that I'm going to be using PointSense. So PointSense is a plugin for Revit, which allows you to do more with Autodesk point clouds. It allows us to model, manipulate, extract information from scan data more easily. In addition, you'll see me jump over to what's called VirtuServe. Okay, and VirtuServe is a standalone application that's a part of the PointSense package. It's Windows-based, but basically VirtuServe creates high-resolution points of view per scan position. So every time that you set up the scanner on the tripod, it's going to produce one of these points of view, which is essentially looking through the eyes or the lens of the scanner from this station. And you can see all the stations down here in the scan map and the list of all of our files that we can open up very easily. So behind each one of these pixels is actually a 3D coordinate, and we use VirtuServe to connect to outside programs. And one of those programs is Revit, which is represented by this R, and it opens up a side panel which allows us to send construction points, line work. We can set levels and create walls, windows, doors, all kinds of things. So you'll see me jump back and forth between programs. All right, let's get started. Alright, we're going to insert a point cloud here in Revit just by going over the Insert tab and choosing point cloud of our choice, which is RCP file. And if we go over to the 3D view, we can see the scan data here nicely and turn on our section box. So that'll allow us to isolate data and be able to look inside the house. And it looks good. So now for our next step, I'm just going to set up some levels for us to design so that when we start doing our walls, that our levels are set at the correct height, and our walls will then also restrict to those level heights. So here we took a section through the data just so we could see a little more clearly, and now I'm showing that we can actually create sections from this VirtuServe view. It's a high-res view which connects directly to Revit. So just by clicking a single point on the floor and ceiling, you can see that it sends over a level. But we can also just add levels directly in Revit by selecting on the point cloud here from the section view. So once you set your floor and ceilings, you can get rid of the unnecessary levels that were already in there from the template. And we're ready to start doing wall extraction. Now, one thing that can be helpful is knowing where these positions are spatially, where the scanner was spatially in relation inside of Revit. We see the raw data in Revit, but we don't know where the scanner setups were. So we'll export the scan map from this VirtuServe program, and then we'll import the scan map directly inside of Revit so that we can see where the scanner was at each setup. So we'll just go over here and choose to import the scan positions and bring in that text file I just created. And now you'll see the scan positions populate in the drawing. So we can associate the name of the scan positions with the name in VirtuServe if we want to visualize the high-res view from certain positions. And so I'm just going to hide these for now so they're not in our way. And really at this point we're ready to start some wall fitting, but to make things a little easier, maybe we can adjust our view range in Revit and kind of isolate down the data that we want to see. Also, to increase the speed of our wall fitting, we're going to do what's called prepare point cloud, and that sort of runs through the entire point cloud all at the beginning to make our wall extraction process much faster, our pattern recognition of wall types much faster. So here I'm just going to adjust so we can see the wall thicknesses a little bit better, and then I'm going to start this prepare point cloud. Alright, so again, this is going to read through the point cloud, and it's going to help us more quickly identify walls when we start the wall fitting. So you can see it's reading through, and I'll just fast forward through this piece so you can see the result. And this process just takes a few minutes. That's why we narrowed it down first with the bounding box in Revit, so it takes less time. And we can see the nice line work, and we'll go ahead and insert this view into our project. So it's going to create a new view called Floor 2 Prepared, which looks like it brings out the line work itself, and we can really see the wall thicknesses and start the wall fitting command. So wall fitting is pretty simple. You just click between the wall thicknesses, and it's going to look at all the Revit wall types you have in your project and find the closest matching. So it'll detect a specific thickness and then recommend an order what the most likely fit is. Now, if you don't agree with the fit, or if it's a little bit off and you want to create a brand new wall type, you can actually choose to create a new Revit family wall type based on the actual thickness it detects. So choosing that bottom option there will create a brand new wall rather than using only the walls that you have started with in the project. So this is a process. Step one is laying out all your wall work. So you can fit walls from that prepared view. You can also fit walls from the floor plan view. The wall fitting is fast in either method. This is using VirtuServe instead. So rather than using the point cloud to fit the walls, if we know the wall type, or if we want to assume the wall type, we can simply click in the image view and it will extract walls for us and send those walls to Revit. So I've chosen for it to insert 4 7/8 inch partition walls, and I just click 2 points on each wall face and it's going to insert the walls for me in Revit. You can then modify your walls to connect them and do your normal Revit routines here if you want. So I'll go ahead and modify these corners, and you can see the result. Those walls inserted. So now let's talk about aligning walls. In this case, we've got angles that are not perfect 90s, and you may want perfect 90s. I'm going to show how you can bring all these wall connections together at one time without having to individually modify them. And also, if you wanted to restrict things to 90 degrees, you can do that as well. So we use this Align Walls tool. Choose the walls we want and say Finish. Now there's a number of options in here, but in general this is going to allow you to either create perfect wall angles of your choice, or connect all the walls together and make continuous wall joints. So you have the option to keep the as-built and as-built angles, or keep them perfect 90s. You can already see on screen here though that based on our current settings, the walls are restricted to perfect 90s. So there's a number of settings there, like I said, but this will allow you to connect all walls and make nice angles. Alright, so I'm going to open up this same view that I'm looking at inside of VirtuServe and insert a door here. And inserting doors, windows, really simple. You can do it from the raw data view, which I'll show next. But inserting a door, I'm just going to choose a door type, and I'm actually going to create a new Revit family type based on my 2 points that I click. I just click 2 points in opposite angles, and it will send that information to Revit, and it's going to generate a new Revit family door type for me and place it in my model. So now I'll do the same thing from the raw data view, and this way you can see the PointSense point cloud snap that we've developed. It allows you to click freely in 3D on the point cloud, which is something you can't do with Revit. In Revit, you're restricted to the active work plane when snapping to point clouds. This actually lets me snap freely. So again, I'll do the same thing, but just off the raw data. I'm going to click opposite corners of this window, and it'll insert a window for me. Pretty simple. Alright, in the case you need to build a new Revit family type, let's say this door doesn't exist and you want to detail it. You notice when I zoom in, the quality is not very good. So what I'm going to do is generate an ortho image from this so that I can see higher resolution of the door. And the other limitation with creating new family types is you're not able to bring point clouds into the family editor natively with Revit. So this ortho image that we create, we're going to bring that into the family editor. And this is an ortho image tool that's going to essentially close the gaps between the points and try to make it look like a nicer, higher res image from point cloud data. Now we can also bring in point cloud data into the family editor via PointSense. PointSense provides a feature for that, unlike native Revit, but I prefer using this ortho image option. So now I'm just going to start open a new family door type and move to my exterior view. And if you go to the PointSense ribbon now and insert the ortho image we just created, you can see the door. And now I have a template to go off of if I was going to create a new family type. Creating stairs and irregular objects, you have the option to just lay out modeling lines. In this case, we're going to lay out horizontal modeling lines for the boundary of the stairs and for the risers. And to do that, it's really simple. I find it much easier to click in the high-res image view in VirtuServe to send our line work over to Revit. So first I'm just kind of placing some boundary lines here, and then I'll start placing individual segments for our risers. And I'll sort of fast forward once I get going through here, see it sort of fade to the end. So now I'm clicking up the stairs, 2 points on each step face, and you can sort of see in the background, you'll see when I switch over that the line work is there. So here's our line work, and at this point we just need to trim it up a little bit to get it prepared. So I'll turn off these walls so I can see a little bit better. And those are the horizontal lines that I sent over, and now I can just trim them up. And just finish up here, and then sharpen my corners up here. Here, and okay. So at this point we're ready to go over to the architecture tab and to the stairs command, and we're going to do a stair by sketch. And really we just choose the boundary lines first, click those, and then we go through and click the risers. And when we're finished, we're just going to click the check mark and make sure that our stairs are the correct direction. So I'm going to flip the direction of the steps here, and now we switch to a 3D view, and you can see the result of our staircase that we built, all from just laying out some simple lines from VirtuServe to Revit.